right, great. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vienna. I'm a volunteer with the Indigenous Physical Activity and Cultural Circle. So today I'll be introducing Jason Parenteau. Jason is a member of the Lenape Nation located in Southwestern Ontario and is currently a cultural coordinator for the Dakota, Ojibway Child and Family Services, Inc. In this position, he provides support for communities pursuing land-based activities such as hunting, fishing, medicine picking, and survival. Jason enjoys his time on the land or waters and providing for his family and others. So today he'll be speaking on making connections to the land. In this session, Jason will share the experiences of facilitating hunting and fishing camps with youth and families, and we'll get to hear about the successes and challenges of his work, as well as learn some basic survival skills through his experience. So Jason, you are good to take it away.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for the introduction. I don't know how I make myself. Do I pin myself or how does that work?
So you should be good to go. As soon as you share your presentation, you'll be pinned as well as you are speaking right now. So you are pinned for everyone.
All right, let me share my screen. I should know how to do this. We've had a little bit of time to do this. So, this is the one. Okay. So just greetings, everyone. I'm here logging on live from Winnipeg, Manitoba in Canada, in case we have people from outside Canada. But good news is, even though we had a record year of snow, it has begun to melt. So in today's activity or session, I guess you could say, where I work, like I was mentioned, Dakota Ojibway Child and Family Services, making connection to the land. And this is, you know, specific through a Ojibway and Anishinaabe perspective as well. So it's important to understand that. However, throughout many of our nations across Turtle Island, that there are different ways that people may do this. So part of the work that I do now is, you know, one is I have to be able to do the things myself, I guess you could say. And so I don't know if you could see my screen. We'll just get right into this one here, but it's also with partnerships. So we really try to work and network, and it's kind of, you know, interesting because we all have guidance. And so we're guided by some of our elders who lived on the land and have taught us things. But as well as modern, like our younger people or myself, I say I'm younger or I'm young. However, ask my children and I'm old, and my nieces and nephews let me know that too. So, but that's okay. But we depend on them. And so what's happened in some of the work I do is searching out different knowledge keepers and specific to the land, because there's a lot of thought to what that means, you know. There must be something, you know, if you think about in today's society, there's always something, and with the land and preserving it, and people find wellness, you know, in it. And it's interesting because even, you know, I think about the land, and I really enjoy going out. First of all, I wish you know, I joked through COVID, we're on isolation, have to work at home. Where's my home office? It's in the bush. That's where I would be. But, you know, in modern times, we live this way. And so we have these constructs of towns now and cities and, you know, the way it is. However, yet in pretty much all places, there's green space identified, meaning that there's some form of natural land there, you know, whether it's a park here in Winnipeg, there's Assiniboine Park, and, you know, a couple other smaller areas, you know, even though it's not like natural, but it's still some what they would call nowadays in green space, which is really important. And I think now what's happening, I believe in Alberta and Manitoba, so the doctors now are recognizing that and giving prescriptions to go be out on the park, so park passes and stuff like that. So it's quite amazing. And so when we're thinking about what we say in our Anishinaabe language, and one of these topics I'm going to share is no, sorry, can't read this thing. And the Wenjigamen and the Undandawe. I can say it better than reading it. The Wenjigamen, it means like what we would call in Ojibway or Anishinaabe hunting, but it's not hunting in the way that you know, you would say sporting. That word doesn't translate over to English very well, but it means really that we're providing for our family. So that's how I would say it if I was to go out into the bush. And so Bagwanishkoji being hunting camps, this is in Rose River, which is located 1 hour south, is one of the things and one of the most successful things that we were able to implement with our families and community people. So one of the first things, of course, we talk to them what it's about, things like that. Typically, the way that we would do these ones would be from a Friday to a Sunday. So they camp overnight in the bush, and we kind of just stay there. We don't have like a log home or anything like that, but some of these things are in development. But one of the first things that we talk about or share about Ishkode is fire is essential and the center of the hunting camp. Participants identify trees, wood, and learn skills of campfire cooking. So when we do these things, we always have a fire close by. One of the reasons is for safety. It's pretty common. I don't know if anyone, I can't see screens, so if anyone wants to jump in anytime, there's feel free to talk about fire, because it's a skill to actually learn how to make the fire, identify trees in your area that you would harvest to stay warm. So we typically go out to provincial, well, Crown land, because of our treaty, we're allowed to go. So we don't typically have seasons like maybe non-status people may have, but we just harvest what we need. But learning and identifying trees, even that is quite a task, because a lot of times when we grow up in a city or don't have that experience, then people may assume that, oh yeah, just any tree will do, just put it on the fire. But some trees won't burn, especially if they just freshly cut down one, you know, so that's something to, you know, we try to develop. So we're talking about physical activity and wellness. Well, you have to go out. The trees don't just fall themselves. And so we have a saw, and then you got to cut it. And the other thing that's amazing though, like we have young people that come, especially the young boys, is really interesting. I can't see anyone, but if you think about young people, they want to do something, you know, like it's amazing, because before they come out, you know, the complaint is there's no Wi-Fi there, because we don't typically bring out our phones and stuff like that, and there's no signal there anyway, which is kind of good, but we'll talk about safety plan about after. But they always think they're going to miss it, but they don't, you know, because they get busy doing other things, and it's really busy because there's always something to do. Just taking care of the fire, getting the fire ready, looking after the fire, cutting the kindling, getting it ready, and even splitting the wood. So, I mean, I myself will get the chainsaw, get the bigger pieces, and then whatever. But those young people, they really want to learn how to cut wood. However, we got to do it safely, because the first thing they want to do is get the big splitter. So that's why I was asking if anyone knows the difference between the axes. The big log splitting axe is really heavy, and that's the one they want to go ahead and use. So we're talking about physical wellness activity, man. If you cut wood, you know, you're going to be really, you're going to develop a different kind of strength, because especially our grip strength is really good, because that's a little bit of a weight, you know, 2.5, 5 pound axe head plus the motion and the nonstop, and you got to split through. So on top of lifting the wood, and then the other thing too happens is where you get a good workout. I don't know if anyone's ever split wood before, and then you get your axe stuck in between. It doesn't quite split, but trying to get it out, wedge it out, even still to this day for me, and I grew up kind of cutting wood, it still gets stuck. So I'm like, oh my gosh, and I got to take a break and a breather. You know, so starting there, and that's something like, you know, when everyone comes, they can do lots. Even the youngest kids, they go get kindling. You know, that's where I learned how to do as a a young person, you know, under 4 feet tall, I'd go and get the dry stuff and, you know, make a pile, you know, because when we leave camp and go out hunting or whatever, what we're going to explain next is really, really important. So first step is we identify like a wood source close by and try to have that, because when you're out there and the elements, that's what keeps you warm. That's what we cook on. And if you're, depending on your gear you have, which we'll kind of talk on a little bit about your clothing, is also really, really critical. And should you get wet or damp, then you need to, that heat can dry you off and keep you comfortable. Because out there, it's not like walking in the mall and everything is good. And, you know, I'm not going to take off my, you know, it's kind of different. So that way, it's a way that we look after ourselves, you know, for safety. You know, it's like a first aid thing as well. So really, really important. And we do, just the, you know, as a disclaimer, it's not just for boys. We do teach women exclusively in their own camps. So we're diverse in that way. So with this part as being a campfire, it's not, you know, a woman can't start a fire or something like that. We just want to make that clear too. So I think it's important that everyone knows how to make a fire, especially in survival. It's critical. So the other thing, the next part of this is aki. That's the word we use for the land. Hopefully you can all see the pictures is good. But understanding and developing our relationship with the earth is a value of Anishinaabe people, which means when we're out there, we take the time, explore, but also we also recount our creation story, the seasons, which animals are there, which, you know, even how to some of them got their name. There's legends about that, and how they even look. So for Anishinaabe people, we have Wenaboju, our original man, where our teachings go back to, and he shaped a lot of the earth and named some of the animals. And some of his experience has taught us things, you know, and why we have different articles that we may use. So the earth and understanding that is really, really critical. So taking note of it, you know, is important, because that also, when you're connected and understand that, and if you're going to harvest, you know, medicines or animals, those are things that provide life. So the earth provides us with everything, but we have to be connected to understand how it's going to be. So for example, this last year in Manitoba, like this past year in the summer, was really dry. We had lots of fires, things weren't growing. We've seen bears, you know, dehydrated, you know, because their sloughs, where they cool off, they were suffering, right? So this year, you know, we had lots of snow, like lots, and a long winter, you know, like long, and it's, I don't mind. I think it's good, and I hope that the land will be that way. So then, just for our family, we didn't pick blueberries last year. We didn't pick a lot of medicines because we just seen the state of the earth that it was in at the time, and we did witness the suffering of animals, you know. So it breaks my heart when I see that, but you know, we hope this year that they're gonna have a little bit of comfort, you know, with the land this year. So just taking a understanding, you know, because it's good, but in the same place, it helps us to remind us of our place, that we're all a part of this creation. You know, we're not controlling it, but we do have an effect on it. But yet the earth provides so much to us. You know, if we think about the medicines, or, you know, whatever we have today, if we can count, you can just look in your room that you're at, and you could see things that we've gotten from the earth, or we've taken to provide for ourselves to continue life, right? And that's a concept I think a lot of communities have. And so we teach our young people, the agaduman is like, we set snares for rabbits. So again, these young people, they're like 6 and up. So it's not just kids that we teach, it's adults too. So wild rabbits, the ones that are in the bush, we kind of target those. Yeah, there's a bunch of rabbits in the city, but we don't bother them. So, you know, we actually go out and try and find the wild spaces. I know kids always ask us that, if, hey, there's some in my backyard. Can I snare it? It's like, well, I don't know. If you want to practice, but you do something with the hide, you know. So this is, again, just Obinonic. Wabusok means we're lifting the rabbits, or not the Guayman. We check the snares. And so we set them pretty much during the day, and then we leave them overnight. And early morning, we got to go get them. So again, there's no sleeping in really. It's lots of kind of, you got to be on the ball. And the reason is because if we leave them during the day, what we found out, we've taken some guys out before, and they left them a little bit late, or they slept in, and then it was gone. They just, the little fur that was there because other animals ate it. They said, a free meal, okay. And so we're again over the fire, which is, so I'm sorry, I'm not gonna apologize if you're a vegan or don't believe in these things, but this is the way we're given to live. So this is what provides us life, you know. So this is our children, they learn this, you know, and this one's actually my son. So he's the one who by himself at this age, I think he's 8 at this age, he learned, he snared the rabbit, he cleaned it, and then now he's cooking it, and then he eats it. But he shares with everyone that comes and visits our camp. So again, he understands what that is, you know, and how to care for it, and you know. And it's even funny because even in the city, he'll spot the rabbits and say, "Oh, look, there's one." So Bosch gives a gun. So we go through a little bit of gun safety. The kids, they just want to, you know, it's like role modeling, which we'll get into. They want to see and do what we're doing. So 22. So we go through, give them the reasoning, and we let them know that that's a tool that we use, you know. That's not to hurt anyone, but that provides life for us. And over here we have Benet, which is a rough grouse. I don't know if you've had those in your area, but there's different species of birds here. Benet, there's Mashkodese and Nachkok, which is a rough grouse. There's a spruce grouse, and then shark tail, what we call them. And those birds are really tasty. So we go out and we teach young people about that. And the same thing that with anything we do, they're plucking them, or Gibinonic, they clean them themselves. So that's what he's doing too. So they learn how to take care of that for themselves, and then they go out and feed their family. Whatever they get, they take back with them. And the other thing that we have, and my favorite thing here, is Awash Keshi, or deer. So I grew up eating that animal, so I really enjoy it. And so we teach young people how to prepare it, skin it, and we try to use as much as the animal as we can. And some of the hides we even take and make drums. So some of our articles that we use, that's what we do. And so that's the mentorship, where you see young people, then they too take time with the knife and learn how to do that for themselves. Which is, again, looking at the different parts, is Kadush Skananing, or Kadush Jananic, is just cutting up and sharing edible parts. So I don't know if you ever tried it, but you can eat the deer tongue. So that's what is happening here. So again, that's some of our ways that we do things. And so these are different medicines that are out there. And we go and collect them, and the elders that come, they pretty much ask them for them, and then we bring them a tea. And with the tea, then again, we just have visiting too. So there's downtime. We're not out there like every minute of the day going out there. Part of it is visiting and then feeding our elders who come here. So do Semen, like we're just visiting around the fire. And so we're a bit more modernized out here in Manitoba. It's normal for -20 weather. So we do still camp, and because of modernization, we just use ice fishing tents. So stay a little bit insulated tents. So we stay warm in there pretty much. And we have those little buddy heaters, and, you know, we don't have to suffer. Otherwise, you know, we could use the other tents we do and have used in the past is those trapper tents, so canvas tents. So that's something that we have used, and we've also used teepees as well. So that's something else. So there's a question here. Yeah, are you also teaching language while being on the land? Yes, we are. We are teaching language. So we identify the animals, the parts, and Anishinaabe language as well. And they got up early. Yeah, that's exactly it. We wake up early. Even those teenagers don't really want to get up, but that's okay. So by show of hands here, let's see. Okay, so that's one activity that we do, and that's the fall. That's pretty much the fall time when we do that. So again, we kind of organize things by season. So after the fall, there's another activity. Hopefully we can share this, and the sound goes through. We'll try it. But after the fall is the winter. So hopefully you can see this. Will the sound share if I play it?
It should share as long as you've optimized the video on your end. So when you go into share screen, there'll be an option to hit that. Okay, so it should, I'll try it. So this is what we do in Manitoba. We have lots of winter, so we do lots of ice fishing. The sound isn't coming through right now. Can you just double check to make sure the sound is all the way up on the video? And then if not, then I can help you get that set up. Yeah, it's up. Okay, so my phone. Oops, where did I go now? So I should stop sharing, right? And then when you go into share again, make sure you are going into advanced. So it's not just your screen. Share sound. Yep. There you go. I got it. I didn't even see that. Let's restart that.
All right, we're out here. Gonna get ready to fish. We are gonna walk out. So a couple tips on walking out. Kind of plan where you want to go. We've got this area pretty good. I would say light layers in the beginning. If you're walking out, don't necessarily want to sweat and get cold after. So that's what I recommend and what I do anyway. So I kind of put everything in the sled and pull along. Snow's not too deep today. Nice sunny day. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm actually gonna layer what I got on now. So kind of just looking around. We're gonna walk on today. Ice is pretty thick yet, but not safe enough for vehicles. So be ready to walk. Carry water, bring all your supplies. Have everything loaded up. Jacket, gloves, buckets, rods, auger, and of course snacks and stuff and tackle. But that's what we're pulling. Whoo! So I made it out, got things set up. I'm just trying to catch a fish now. See if they make it or not. But yeah, gotta walk out, pull out, make sure you got the gear safe. Just for the weather, we're pretty lucky today. It's like -3, so really nice out. And not so many people around, which is awesome. But again, people are aware of where I am. Safety is important, so yeah, it's good. So as they're set up here in Manitoba, you can have 2. That's a dead stick. There's a minnow on there, just sits there. And this is active jigging. So my rod here, just standing up jigging. The fish finder set up. The auger, we drilled some holes. And of course all the gear in the sled that we pull behind, buckets to sit on, hold your gear and bring your fish back, and of course some tackle there. So just jig up and down and wait, see if they bite. fish finder helps us to find them, but it's still up to them if they want to bite. Here we have one walleye, fresh out of the hole. All right, we're out here fishing. Let's see. We have tail pinch, 29 a quarter, or not even. It's over 29. Woo, big beautiful fish. Here goes the release. Look at that big belly. She's getting ready to go do her thing. Go through the hole. Woohoo! That was a powerful swim. Yeah, so out here fishing, jigging, beautiful day, nice clear day. But you walk out, set up, drill your holes, maybe move here and there if it's slow, and hopefully get on them. And you know, you got to try and get the right lure. Minnows sometimes are on that, different kind of baits, and you just keep working at it, and maybe a fish will show up. But remember, they have a mind of their own too, so you might have everything that works, but then they decide, ooh, we're on. They decide if they're gonna take it or not. Woo! Of course, having the right equipment helps. And this is a beautiful greenback walleye, Lake Winnipeg. Beautiful. Mm. Don't forget to set the hook. And it's always a surprise. See what shows up out of the hole. Woo! That one. Slash, slash, slash. Okay. Next up in the transducer. And that's a beautiful walleye. Well, it's getting to be the evening here and sundown and just about the end of the day. We had a full day. We caught some fish, you know, and just wanted to share this video. What it, you know, kind of what I do, I guess. But it takes time, get the right equipment, safety, make sure people know where you are, make sure the ice is safe. End of the day, enjoy the day, learn how to fillet. Practice fillet. I mean, you can watch a video and stuff like that, and there's many ways to fillet walleye. I just showed one way I do it today, one way, and then you know, and you got to go out there. But I'm not a professional fisherman or commercial fisherman. This is just something I enjoy to do, and part of our diet as Indigenous people. Fish, and I grew up eating walleye or pickerel, whatever people want to call it. So it's really a big part of my life and many of our people and their fish that they harvest in their area. So again, as we've seen today, around this time, springtime, fish from the lake are getting ready to go spawn. So you may see some eggs, and some elders do eat the eggs. So we'll take some of those today to elders. But you know, we try to let some of those bigger ones that are ready to go do what they do, and keeping a cycle and respect with creation, so we can still continue to sustain and have fish and for our children and our future. So thank you for joining me today. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you do go out, hopefully you catch a fish yourself. So thank you very much. Well, it's awesome and fun to fish. It's a good activity. But again, remember, you walked out, now the walk back. So it's good to enjoy a full day and enjoy the walk. Whew. The sun is setting, so we got a journey yet. So the walk back, it looks close, but it isn't. And we walk, check your gear. I already walked from over there. So the walk back as the sun sets, beautiful full day. Woo-hoo.
So that's a little bit about, if anyone's ever anyone's ever seen ice fishing or has never tried it. It's something we do out here in Manitoba quite a bit, actually most of the year. So we just cited some things, and just for just thinking about what that takes. So part of the role in being the cultural coordinator or working with the land, partly what has to happen is, in my role, because I'm younger, typically trying to stay in rhythm with creation, but also almost scouting out the land, but working with the land too. So it's not wrong, like I would say, to take some fish with eggs, but that one that we caught there was a bigger one. So that's a really big what they call here, they have master angler program here. So typically non-indigenous fishermen they're limited. So a slot, I don't know the exact number, but you know, definitely I think it's over 28 inches is considered a master angler fish. So that one was 29. So there's some big fish over here. But typically at that time of year, we kind of let them go because they're just getting ready to spawn. So it's something, again, that we teach our young people about this when we do have a session, and everything is as safe as it can be. I mean, just due to the weather conditions, because out here, yeah, the lake is big and huge on Lake Winnipeg, but that also means that the wind is really strong out here in the prairies. So it's not just the cold that gets to be minus 40, just so you know, because I don't know where everyone is, but I think out west. But we still go out and fish in those times. So being prepared for the weather, so it is really critical. And what I was saying, like in the beginning, was having the appropriate gear, meaning just know when you go out, kind of what to expect when you're on the land. So with organizing that in a program, then I also have to, for me anyway, we have to think about that for others, especially the children we work with, because they may not have the equipment. So then we try to get that for them, you know, but also this quality equipment, meaning some stuff but you know, I'm not knocking any company out there, but some things are made better than others, you know. So it's an investment and something to consider. So I'll give an example. One, I don't know if anyone's into outdoor stuff. I can't, if you want to put up your hand or whatever. So one thing you could think about is your first layer of clothing is it, what's the material? So if you invest in wool, and I'm using this word invest because for me, it's important. Wool is very versatile. It's a natural fiber, you know, good wicking, dries quick, still insulates. So it's kind of built for all, and it kind of cools a little bit better too. It's a little bit more pricey. So say a decent wool top, I would say Icebreaker or Smart Wool or something like that, maybe at least $100 for, you know, a lighter weight kind of top, long sleeve. It's just long sleeve too. And versus say a polyester, because it's a plastic pretty much based or whatever, and way cheaper. But what the plastic one or cheaper made one is likely not going to last as long. So you weigh it out for your own options, right? And your own use. And out here is a big layering system. So typical, I'll have a definitely all winter long. It's a wool-based layer. Next will be an insulating layer, either typical of a fleece or another actual wool. I'll use like a heavier wool. And then for after that, most likely, depend on that one, I just had actually the wool-based layer was warm enough and a down jacket. So letting the down do the work, and then windproof. So because like I said, it was windy out here. So you have to take all those environmental weather conditions into consideration in what you're doing on a land. And so when we're administering and teaching these things for children, we got to make sure that they have that too, because I don't know if anyone's ever been outside or even in the rain and you don't have a rain jacket, then it's not the nicest feeling. I grew up in Vancouver too, so I've experienced lots of rain. So I've had days where I didn't have my umbrella. Maybe I thought it was too cool as a young person, but you know, denim and cotton really absorbs and soaks up the dampness and cold, but it doesn't keep you really well insulated. So just understanding some of those things and some of the training we did take. Let's see if I can share it with you. Is being on the land and survival, and we'll just touch on that, and then we can share some questions or whatever. So here's just some pictures of what it means kind of to be on the land. So you can see this is pretty extreme, just winter, right? So this is when we did our snaring. So there's different ways to set up snares. So at this time, later in the fall, we use a different system. So there's different ways. This is a pen set they call. So we kind of use just trees, spruce, and then we cut it, and then we leave openings. So there's like 4 doors around there, and that's where we hang the snares. And in the middle, then we used birch, and because that's what they're eating. So we kind of take notice of what they're eating. So again, when we go back to the beginning of the presentation, can you identify these trees? And that's how important it is, because then you'll know how to use those things, you know. And so out in the bush is really critical. And for me was when it's really cold, this is what I use. Yeah, we snare rabbits, but I have a rabbit hat, and that's my favorite hat in the winter when it's really cold. The fur is really nice. And then a wool jacket, and then leather gloves is important, wool pants again. So in extreme weathers and layers. And so if you do everything right, then you might get one of these. And that's the next day after. So wool parka, and I go army surplus, wool toque, pants as well, but then being able to snare the rabbits. So this was a survival camp training where I had to stay out here, I think it was the coldest of the winter, where it was minus 25. I was to do 3 days out in the bush, and then 2 nights in a lean-to shelter. So that was pretty fun, but intense. Next one. Oh, come on. Oh no, I'm seeing the beach ball. It's freezing up. But taking those precautions, and of course, that's what I ate. And then out here, because the snow was really deep this year and we had lots, snowshoes. So going into the bush, holy man, I had to snowshoe, because if you didn't snowshoe, this again, coming from the rabbit and how it tracks, and there's history in our legends and how we got the snowshoe. But using this really helps you, and it's a great activity. I could tell you, to get to this spot where I was, I had to snowshoe for, I think we marked it, it was about 3.5 kilometers. And that's carrying your gear. And that's just to get there, and then everything we have to do at that time. So again, it's a traditional activity, something we did, and especially out here where we had lots of snow, we have to use this tools and equipment to stay above the snow. And it's definitely a little bit more intense than just walking regular. And the other thing I found out was if you pat down a trail first, then it's a little bit easier. And this is just an idea. We're also doing orienteering. So we're mapping out, it's called land navigation, which I think is important to learn. I don't think they teach in school anymore, but learning how to count your pace and all that sort of stuff is really critical, because you're going to estimate time and stuff. So that's kind of the trail and what it looks like to get to where we're going. So breaking the trail is a lot of work. So you're gonna need to do a couple things. And one thing that we'll need to do is make sure that you have water, and more water, or have a water source. The other thing that's good with the snow is that we can use the snow, we can melt the snow with the fire, and then we can get water, right? But we suggest, and what I've learned, is to always have a steel double wall or single wall steel water bottle if you're out doing bush stuff. For one main reason is if your water freezes, you can keep it by the fire and you can unthaw it. People that love Nalgene bottles, which are plastic, and they've brought them out there, what do you think happens to their bottles? They bulge and they melt, and they never, because you got to really watch it. And then the other thing is, like, if does it melt the inside, you could be, ingesting the plastic. So really a good investment, something. And of course it's an Nalgene too, so they make these too. They don't sit in the plastic, but you could also make tea with this if you needed to, but you'd sacrifice your plastic. But for survival, it's something I think important to have, and I take it with me wherever I go. Then we have those tabs. I don't know if you know those little tabs you can put in your water bottle to help cleanse it, something like that. So water sources are critical, especially with all that output. So that physical output in your activity, in being on the land and being on the bush, it really helps you. But the other thing that happens, and for me too, of course I box and I do jiu-jitsu, physical activity, modern day stuff. But for me, it's so different when you're out there on the land, because the work, and you use your whole body in different ways. And for me, and of course, a lot of us have been in during COVID, no gym, blah, blah, blah. But I've been out on the land, and for me, that's really helped keep my health and physical being well, I guess you could say. And of course, my mind too, because I settle, because, when you're out after walking a trail, if you walk for 3.5 kilometers, whether it's on the ice or the snow, or even just out in the mountain, and you get to your destination, it's typically you just want to rest and catch your breath, right? So then it's also a way we build up that resilience, of course, and to deal with the stress and, different things, right? So it's really humbling, again, to be out there, and the benefits we get from being in these places or activities is huge. And we try to teach that, again, to our young people and pass it on. So we've been really fortunate enough. And so what we've done in recent time, well, this fall, the first time, these camps have been happening with the hunting, but we've actually had day camps now too. So with the day camp, meaning not everyone's going to stay overnight or whatever, which is fine. So we invited it for younger people specifically, meaning like 5, 6, 7-year-olds or 8 years old, and the parents want to come with them and learn too. then they're there until like 4 o'clock, and then they go back, and then we try to get something for them. And so by then, the next thing we do is we teach them about traditional cooking, kind of how you've seen on the fire, but we'll actually teach how to make jerky and smoked meat. You know, our smoked meat is really critical to our diets as well. So the preservation. So that's kind of how it's connected, like putting together when we think about wellness and how important it is to connect to the land even further. And for some guys and for myself, it gives motivation to make sure that, you know, I'm in half decent shape, because pulling a deer out of the bush or dragging it is not, it's not easy. Sometimes it's a work, but a good work. And then we get to build up our sweat and, you know, feel good and you just feel good. I don't know. I feel good. That's what I look forward to when we're out there. So that's mainly, I think, what the gist of what we do, and some examples of activities that we do. The next season that we have here that, you know, I'm going to be a part of is we've seen the fishing rod, but the other thing, and what I found interesting, a lot of our tribes go spear fishing. So that's kind of on my agenda for tomorrow. So I broke out the spear, and I think I'm going to take my boys out and let them have their try and be out there. So again, it's a good way to be. And I'll show you an example of, so here's my equipment bag, small bag, kind of have my first aid stuff in here. If you don't have, then I think it's really suggest you have it. Oh, this is my camo stuff. So we're duck seed and goose over here. So match kind of what's around your environment. So if you're in the mountains, I don't think you'd have these river reeds. There's a general camo. So again, you might need double layers, stay warm, it's cold. And my favorite kind of gloves are wool material. I like these ones that keep my hand warm enough, but I can still use my fingers if I got to tie stuff or whatever, especially for fishing. I think it's great. Oh yeah, these are handy. Waterproof matches. Remember, fire is really important to us. You don't have to use, well, there's no gas. I don't think anyone wants to burn gas nowadays. It's too expensive. And okay. This is one of the most important things I would say is important. It's a 550 paracord. Basically, you can cut it open, use it. There's 7 strands in here, or 25 pounds of breaking strength. So you got about 6 options to build stuff. And that's what we use to build our lean-to shelter. And so really, really important to have this 550 power cord. I can't stress it, you know, how important that is. And the training that I took was led by a retired military search and rescue. Knives, critical. Another pair of gloves. These are working gloves, more to leather palm. So we're later season, not so heavy duty. Oh, because I'm duck hunting, got calls. This is, I don't know if anyone's seen these before, but that's just a throw rope in a bag. So if we're around water and stuff, you might need to rescue someone. And you can use this so many ways. I learned how to make a stretcher with this. This is amazing. And a thermal wrap, hypothermic wrap. And because nowadays we do video, people want to know these things without actually going. We have, well, this is what I use to make that video. Just my phone and this, you know. And here we have the bigger things. Try don't go out to the bush without a tarp. So this is something you can make a lean-to shelter in should you get stuck, and a wrap or a stretcher. So that's basically some things, you know, as an idea, but it takes, I would suggest for people to get some training, some wilderness first aid training, learning how to be safe on the land, I think is critical. Because what we've seen this past year with the pandemic, people have gone outside, which is awesome, but then they just not aware of the dangers out there because there are still wolves and bears over here. I don't know about areas that you're in. So if you have any questions, then now's the time to ask. Don't be shy. Or maybe share what kind of fish you have in your area, and maybe I can catch one day. Or animal, hunt either one. Or experience even.
While everyone thinks about their questions, I just have one. Are you running these camps throughout the year, or is it just like hunting, fishing during certain seasons?
No, we try to do everything throughout all the year. So we try to follow our traditional calendar. So that's why I was saying, like, this time of year is pretty much we're gonna spearfish. Where the ice is there, then we were ice fishing. And then when the water opens up, then we'll just boat fish or shore fish. And then depending on the species, right? Because the other thing is that there's an order in which the fish spawn. So we won't target certain times, certain fish, like a sucker. Usually the suckers are first, I believe, then walleye, and then pike. And then the other ones, like there's a lot of different species, but they kind of have their own time, you know, so we try to be mindful of that, because we're not taking all the fish, you know, we just take what we're going to eat pretty much. So in the summer there's a lot of that, and then medicines is a lot of time and berry picking. So June, right? June we start off with strawberries. We can find the wild ones. Oh, those are the best. I'm not telling you where I go, but later on, there's blueberries, Saskatoons, you know, over here. So we kind of follow that natural order. Then a transition, like, and that's like the summertime. Then the fall is like we focus on deer and the chickens, and then rabbits. We don't bother rabbits really this time of year, and not really too much for the chickens either. So does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, that's super cool. And then you said you're taking out families as well, or is it like different age groups where certain kids are coming with their parents, and then certain age groups are going out alone with you?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I kind of make sure I don't always take them out, but it's because I work with 11 communities. Mm-hmm. So each community
it's a lot of work.
someone that's kind of, yeah. Well, they have someone, so we try to make sure that who they have knows, you know, that knows what they're doing, sort of thing. And so then what happens is that we actually contract the local people to take them out. So we all kind of work together. So the office in Rosa River, like I work in Winnipeg overseeing like all of our agencies, sort of thing, or assisting, advising, recommendations, but making sure that they have the tools. So we're building capacity so that we're not, you know, not being dependent and having someone else come in all the time. You know, if they need a certain skill set, then yeah, we'll go out. But then the goal is to bring that back to empower the community and build the capacity. So with the camps that's happened now is like, since I can't remember, but a number of years now where it's kind of started off small, there's a huge reach for it. And when we say we're going to have some of these activities, they're full, like right away, you know, so it's really good. Yeah. That's 2 great. Questions. Feedback was really good. They really enjoyed it. Mothers really appreciate it. Kids remember, of course, they make memories of their lifetime there. The barriers, like we're kind of lucky over here, but there's always barriers, meaning because we're on Crown land. The only barrier I would see is just safety around other hunters, I guess you would say, you know, because other people may not have the same etiquette that we have, meaning just for me, like I could say we don't drink or do drugs and, you know, go do these things, you know. I can't say much for any of the other people. And I know for a fact they don't do that. So that's the reason when it comes to, we know the guidelines when bow season starts, musket season and rifle season. But by the time rifle season happens, we try not to have too much of the younger children, especially for injury. And then we just have we make sure they wear the orange, bright blaze orange for safety. And again, some of that comes to some of us older guys that go out to the bush and make sure we're kind of scouting, so we know, make sure it's safe, because that's our responsibility. And it's growing so much in one community that other communities come, we invite them and they come see, and they want to do it in their own community too. So that's the awesomest part about it. So hopefully that answers your question, Brittany. And yeah.
It looks like we have 2 minutes left. If there are any last minute questions.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it anyway. If you're out here, we would take you out and show you.
That's next year's conference, right? We're just going to go ice fishing.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are jumping on the boat to come ice fish in -30 weather.
You just have to sell it. Like, I think you did. I would totally go.
Yeah, you know, it's big and it's an experience. So, but I like fishing all kinds of different ways. So we bow fish too. So I have yet to get one on a bow. So we challenge ourselves sometimes. So yeah.
All right, I think we're going to wrap up here. So just on behalf of Jason and the Indigenous Physical Activity and Cultural Circle, I'd like to thank everyone for attending this valuable presentation. So you can feel free to leave the breakout room now and go back to the main session. We'll have a little break and then we'll have our last session of the day. But thank you so much, Jason.
Awesome. Thank you.